This is a mid-2014 13-inch MacBook Pro, and I got it for 350 euros. But is buying an older Mac, considerably now that the new M1 Apple Silicon Macs are out, worth it? Let's find out. First, we cannot go further without talking support. Apple normally supports their computers for around 6 to 7 years, which is pretty good. But it's very probable that by the time I'm recording this video, Big Sur is this thing's last official software update. And considering Apple's approach to their transition when they transitioned to Intel from PowerPC, even your new 16-inch MacBook Pro that costs you over $6,000 may only get 3 years of updates, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. Next up, specs. Mine is the base model, sporting a Core i5-4278U dual-core hyper-threaded CPU with integrated RS graphics and 8GB of RAM, which in today's world is actually still pretty good. The problem is when you get to the storage. 128GB is nothing nowadays. Thankfully, this is one of the last Macs with upgradable storage. The performance is still really good, as I alluded to earlier. Web browsing is still speedy, and even doing video editing, which I will edit this video on this Mac, is still quite nice. Gaming is a different story, but I'll leave that for another video. But a quick sneak peek is that it also works really well for lighter games. And that leads us perfectly to thermals. Now, MacBooks have never had great thermals, and they still really don't. But this thing can keep its own, kind of. In heavy loads, this thing shoots up to 100 degrees, literally instantly, but then kind of levels off around the 90-95 degrees. In more mundane tasks like gaming or video editing, this thing shoots up to 90 degrees and levels off around the 80 range, which for me is perfectly acceptable. And also considering that this is a 6-year-old machine that has probably never been dusted once. Now, the build quality is actually really, really good. It's made out of aluminum, which is cool to the touch, and it's just really solid. There's no deck flex as you're typing, and the whole thing just feels really sturdy, including the screen assembly. It's also just 1.5 kilograms, making it lighter and more portable than my old Asus, which was made out of plastic, though that was a 15-inch notebook, and this is a 13-inch one. Now, that pretty aluminum chassis is very pretty, but it will get dented and scratched if you don't take proper care of it, i.e. use a case on it, like the previous owner of this thing did, and I still do. In fact, it's on right now. You can see it right here, this black thing. And that actually makes that this thing is like, it looks brand new if I take this case off. One problem with the build quality is stain gate. All the Retinas had it, and if your Retina still doesn't have it, it will someday. It's basically the anti-reflective coating on the display coming off, and it leaves these really nasty marks, or stains, as people call it. And it just makes the display look ugly, though most people don't really care. I don't either. There was a repair program for it, but it has unfortunately already ended, so I cannot take advantage of it. Now, battery life is still pretty good on this thing. I don't know if the old owner actually changed the battery or not before, selling it, but I still get around 3 hours of battery life on this thing. And even gaming and doing video editing, it does not drain the battery that quickly. I can get about 1.5 hours of gaming or work done, which is actually really good for a 6-year-old machine. Again, the battery might have been replaced 1 or 2 years ago, so who knows. The webcam is your standard Apple FaceTime HD affair that's good enough for video calls, but I wouldn't actually use it for anything else. One area where this thing excels is the mics. They are crystal clear. Voice calls and podcasts and even voiceovers have never sounded better on a laptop. At least one that I own. One area where I cannot comment is the speakers. Mine are unfortunately kind of blown. Take a listen. yeah, they don't sound very good anymore, but from other reviews that I've heard, these are amazing. But because of the problem that I had, I cannot evaluate them properly. The keyboard is hands down the best I've ever used. It has a nice sound and the typing experience is unlike any other. It has good travel and quite a bit of tactile feedback. It's also backlit with 16 levels of brightness, so you can see what you're doing no matter the lighting. And of course, we can't forget the trackpad. It's just amazing. There's nothing you can compare it to besides the newer Apple laptops. Even Windows laptops nowadays are just bad in comparison to this. $350 laptops? Bad. Bad trackpad compared to this. This is amazing. The display is also just gorgeous. It's a 2560 by 1600 13.3 inch display that produces stunning visuals and amazing colors. There's also a lot of factory calibrated profiles for color spaces like sRGB and Rec 2020, which is good for photo and video professionals. No wonder they like these kinds of machines. It gets bright enough outdoors and indoors so you can see what you're doing again no matter the lighting, and it's just beautiful. So it does have an image retention problem, but this is a sample size of 1. I actually haven't researched on it, so your mileage with this may vary significantly. Mine has gone away after the Big Sur update. Software-wise, macOS Big Sur is kind of amazing. It's fast, beautiful, and brings quite a lot of improvements over Catalina, like the notification center that heavily needed a redesign and looks literally up to date now. It looked like iOS 7 before, and I hated it. It also brought Control Center to the Mac, but I haven't actually used it that much, so... And that's just to name a few improvements. There's also a complete redesign, so you either like it or hate it, really. And it still runs really good, so in my opinion, I think Apple shouldn't drop support for these older Intel Macs just yet. Overall, for the money I paid for it, I think it's amazing. For 350 euros, I don't think I could have gotten a better deal. This has been Alex, and I actually am a little nervous. I'm recording with my new camera, as you can see. Not the T5i, the SL2, because my T5i was defective, and they upgraded me to an SL2, which looks even better, actually. So it was an even bigger jump in video quality. So I was a bit nervous during this episode, that's why I had so many stumbles. There's so many outtakes that I have to edit out. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, thank you for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, share this video with your friends if you liked it, and I'll see you around. Bye!